All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's your boy Crypto Wolf, and we are here once again for another indicator fight club. Thank you for coming back for fight night tonight, round 2 of the Divergence face-off between the one, the only, the Broad WallStreet Bully, the Market Cipher indicator, specifically Market Cipher B, versus a couple new contenders. So we shall see how it goes. And quote of the day real quick: if you knew you had to fight for your life tomorrow, would you change your training today? Food for thought. That was Bruce Lee who said that, by the way. And again, shout out to the Broad WallStreet Bullies. Any of my hockey fans out there, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Philadelphia Flyers, back in the day, just killing it. Oh my God, there's a documentary about them, and even if you just like watching hockey fights and hearing a good ass story, I strongly recommend watching that. It is outstanding. These dudes, oh my gosh. Real quick. All right, so they had this real bad reputation for just literally beating everybody up, just fighting every game. And they started, like, they kind of built up a team eventually after they got a couple enforcers, and then their enforcers were actually able to score on top of that. So they're just going out beating everybody up. Everybody's kind of getting afraid to play against them. They're trying to tell the league that they should literally kick the team out of the entire league. And they start doing good, and they start packing in the crowds. Philadelphia starts blowing up. Everybody's loving the team, and they make it to the Stanley Cup. You know, a little bit down the road here, you know, reputation going, tons of teeth knocked out, and it gets to the point where they have this super big reputation, and the Russian team is like the best team in the world. Well, somehow it happened where they challenged the Russian team, and the Russian team said, like, we'll whoop your butt, blah, blah, blah. And so they come out to Philadelphia to play them, and Philly is just murdering these guys, just beating them up left and right. Just, oh my God, it's awesome. And knocking them all over the place, to the point where after the second period's over, they go back in the locker room. The Russian team didn't even want to come back out of the locker room. They were ready to throw the game, fly back to Russia, because they were tired of getting beat up on. I love it. It is outstanding. Probably gotten God knows how many hockey fights growing up just because of watching these dudes, the old tapes. And even after they were gone, Eric Lindros, big old dude, could fight like a beast. But all right, here we are real quick on the Ethereum chart. You know, we've been coming down today. We finally started pulling back a little bit. Managed to get in a couple decent little scalps. I had like a 14 and a 8%. So nothing too bad, you know, especially for being at work, and half the day I had to go outside anyway, so I couldn't do too much. But, you know, it's always nice to get some money. Over here, coming down, we do have some bullish divergence between these two momentum waves over here. Everywhere from like the 8 to the 15. You know, I had it coming up here. It was real slight by the time you got onto the 15, but you know, it could be that that's all we got out of it, because we did end up putting in a new low just a little while ago here. And it is like ever so slightly still bullish divergent. So we'll see what happens. Money flow, you know, maybe rounding out here at the bottom. We'll see what's going on. The DBSI was starting to weaken off now, depending on what time frame you're on. It was getting them into them 20s right off the bat. But, you know, over here on like 10s and 12s, it was looking pretty decent. So we'll see, you know, money flow coming up over here. But for this video, I wanted to switch it up. I wanted to go to an interesting chart, one that I have not really been looking at. I just added it to the list, and that is Waves, because Waves has been making waves. They've been doing big things. They've had a ridiculous pump. Just, oh my gosh, you go to like the hourlies to the daily, it's just been just leaving the chart smoking. And had another big pump. I'm mad. I literally turned the chart on right at the top of this thing, so that was kind of a bummer. But we'll see what happens. Maybe a little consolidation, which tends to happen after every big pump. But look at this. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That's a big one. And then you can see right here where we were having some bullish divergence, as you know, the momentum waves were starting to trend upward as we were consolidating down a little bit here, and then just barely put in a higher low right there, and we were just winding up and off to the races. But you came here for the fight night. You want to see some blood. Let's do it. Market Cipher versus a couple other indicators. And let me turn this other one back on. What was the name here? RSI Divergence. Yep, indicator strategy. And this one is an actual strategy, so it has the little test trades going on and all that good stuff. But let me see if we can move this up above. No, not gonna let me do it. Oh well, that's gonna be a little bit awkward, but we will take a look anyways. Son of a bitch. Okay. So as you can see, we've got this purple RSI down here with our little overbought, oversold ranges, and we've got these little bearish and bullish flags popping up. Now the biggest one, let's go over to, is that the hourly or is it the half hour? I had a little bit going on here. Let's see. All right, let's stop here on the half hour. So as you can tell, I had a couple marked out. Right here, we do have some bearish divergence over here on Market Cipher. Did not actually show up down here. And when we come back to some other ones, it did show up on others, but it missed it up here, which was a fairly big, fairly easy one right there. Now over here, we have some bullish divergence, which again, it missed that as well. So not looking so hot for the RSI DI. Now over here at the current little price action, saying we got some bullish divergence right here. Yep. Okay. That one showed up. Market Cipher definitely played out on the price. You know, that's lands a little jab right there. Nothing too spectacular. Now showing bullish divergence here, or hidden bullish divergence. Let me specify that one a little bit. Let's see if we can make this bigger. And as you can see, the indicator is trending down while the price is going up. And we're looking at the bottoms down here and obviously the tops up here. So technically, yes, that would be hidden divergence. Now, you could say that, you know, here's the one right here, the first one. And you could say, okay, you know, maybe that played out coming up into this one. And then it called out another one right here, which obviously did not play out. And I suppose if you wanted to, you could say, you know, since these are the bottoms of the momentum waves over here, that you were seeing the same thing. But really, when I start seeing this, I'm not so much thinking about hidden divergence at this point. You know, I'm looking at a big old bearish divergence right here on the top side. And it did call out a little guy right here, which would have been from this peak to this peak. And it's not really showing on this chart on Market Cipher, but I imagine you'd see it if you zoomed in a little bit. But again, you know, missed two of the big ones. And let's see what else. So we're coming down here as we're trending up down here. And we're getting like a little bullish, a little hidden bullish, a little bullish. It's missing, you know, the big obvious one, which would have been, no, not to that guy. This guy right here, basically. Now, I wonder if this would throw that off with the RSI dipping below that level. Whereas over here, you know, you could really take either of these to here, to here. In either case, you know, generally speaking, we're coming down from these points. A bit of a tricky one if you're not, you know, looking at it with a human eye. So I'm not going to detract too much from that. But this guy right here, right at the top, price going up, indicator coming down. No bearish divergence right there. Would have been an easy one for it to get. So this one seems like, you know, it's grabbing a lot of little ones, but it's having trouble picking those, the big important ones. So I'm going to call that a knockout. That's it's done. Teeth on the floor. Goodbye. Oh, now I get some wind. Okay. Yeah, I figured out what that weird noise was in yesterday's video. That was the air conditioner taking a shit. And figured that one out today. Came home and noticed it was really quiet in here. But luckily, it happens to be windy as all hell today, so got that going for me. Opened a bunch of windows, and it ain't too bad. Although, right when I went to start this video, it was just dead calm. After having 40-mile-per-hour winds all day, I'm like, ah, figures. But all right, so the second one, our second contestant stepping into the ring here on our indicator fight night round 2 is this RSI. It says div/lib. Let me see if I can. I probably should have wrote it down. Let's see. Is this going to say the name down here? Relative Strength Index Divergences Libertus. So that's what that one is, you know, if you're searching up here. And this guy right here is a little bit different, where you can see I made this line white so it stands out a little bit better. But, you know, you have this RSI going, and then it turns to red every once in a little while here. Not 100% sure on why it's doing that. I didn't spend too much time researching this one, because I'm basically just looking for getting the meat off the plate here, trying to see, is it going to catch these divergences? And it looks like this one, it doesn't give you the line, but it does give you these little tags. And it also throws in these little pivot points, which I'm not really going to focus on right now. But you can tell, pivot point, yeah, okay. But over here, let's go back to this guy, the big bearish, the Big Bear Lake right there. What's going on? Not much. You know, it's calling out bearish divergence back here. Again, on this little peak right there, which the last indicator actually called out as well. But, you know, missing the big important one, Market Cipher just, pow, shot to the jaw right there. That's going to hurt. And we got some bull flags popping up down here, which, you know, we were looking at. We do have a number of them popping up depending on which points you are looking at. So it's fighting back a little bit. It's fighting back. It's keeping up a little bit. Now we have a bullish right here. Looks like between these two. Now the price itself is higher. So in order for it to be bullish divergence, I could see if it was between these two right here. But it looks like according to their RSI, it was still coming down. It wasn't until here that it went up. Now, a word in its favor is, you know, it called this bullish divergence tag, and it did react to the upside. So in theory, it worked out the same. If you're a purist and you're like, nah, homie, that ain't bullish divergence, I don't care what you say. You know, that's your opinion. But coming over here, we'll find something that's a little clearer. We have Market Cipher finding this guy right here. Technically, it's between these. Again, a little funky. I don't normally like to skip a low or a peak, because if you're looking from here, it wasn't divergent, but you get to see this overall trend here kind of coming up across the momentum waves. I swear I just heard a ghost. That was crazy. Oh shit, house is haunted. Well, hopefully it's got some Bitcoin tips. All right, let's see here. Right here again, we have that big bearish, and it did call it. So keeping up, it's you know, it's got the footwork going. It's still moving. It's not dead yet. It's not sitting in the corner huffing and puffing. Calling out bullish right here, which on the RSI, technically, yeah, I could kind of see it where it does say that, and it did kind of play out. Not really, you know, it's too short of a term to see it in the momentum wave itself, but let's see. You can't see it on the RSI up here, though, on this guy, which is basically pretty much the same as we're seeing right here. Just has a more defined little corner right there. So I'll give it that one. That That was a good call. Coming up here, a whole bunch of bearish divergence, which you can see these little peaks getting lower, except for this guy right here, unless it's, you know, calling it all the way from back here, which it doesn't give you a line, so it's hard to tell. So you're basically just kind of trusting it at that point. And it doesn't tell you how big of a divergence is it. You know, is it just between these two little peaks? Is it all the way across here? You know, because if you're only getting a little divergence like right here, you know, that's maybe all the play you might get out of it. Whereas if you're coming like all the way across between these two peaks, okay, you're expecting something a little bit bigger. In which case, it is showing up right there. And interestingly, you know, not really seeing it on the momentum waves. So the challenger may score the point on this one. Not really seeing it on the VWAP. Now, the most important one though, we are seeing it on the money flow. And remember, you know, money flow rules them all. So if you're seeing a big divergence like that on the money flow, I'm going to lean towards that a little bit. So overall, I'm going to say, you know, this one did have some good calls. It did miss a number, but it caught some of the big ones, which is important because it's those big ones that you really want. You know, those little ones might get you a little scalp, but might also get you a break even because you're expecting more out of it. Right here, showing it's got to be from this peak to this peak because we're still coming up across these three peaks. So that bear flag's got to be the whole enchilada right there, which did play out fairly nicely. And we did get it on Market Cipher as well on the momentum waves. So not too bad, not too bad. Once again, that was Relative Strength Index Divergences Libertus. Yep. And our final contender of the evening, here we go. It is the TMA RSI DIV V2. But if you're actually trying to look for, oh, no source code, they're hiding it from you. Do we get a, I get a tooltip that gives me the name here? No. Let's see. I think I can find it on here. TMA Divergence Indicator. There you go. Holy crap. No, where are you going? Where are you going? All right. Now this one is the most interesting out of those three. And you can tell right away by looking at it. So let's get ready to rumble. You can tell we have this like overbought, oversold, heating up, cooling off color code, which I very much like. It gives you something different to look at other than just a purple line or a white line. You do have this rolling like median like RSI going on there, or like a moving average almost. And that very much reminds me of the whatchamacallit, RSI with regression bands, I believe it was. RSI with self-adjusting linear regression bands. Very much reminds me of this one. And yeah, it generally follows the same shape, a little bit smoother, you know, not quite as up and down. Why this thing keeps crapping out on me as I go back, I have no idea. But yeah, very similar. And you can tell the little RSI within it definitely has some more movement up and down. So I do actually kind of like this one. This one is fairly interesting. And of course, it does give you the little bullish and bearish divergence flags, but it does actually give you the lines as well, even if it's just dumb and it doesn't make them very visible. And I do not see anywhere where you can make those lines brighter. whole lot of settings, so that's interesting. I'll have to play around with that sometime. But let's put it to the test. Let's ring the bell. Let's put these two up against each other and see what we get. So back here, big bearish. Not calling out any bearish anywhere around there. We are getting hidden bullish, which in the grand scheme of things, you know, it really didn't pull back very much, and it kind of did continue to the upside for a little bit till we got the big blood diamond. Let's see over here, hidden bullish again, hidden bearish, and looks like we just keep getting hiddens. Here's a regular. All right. So between here, it's giving us a bullish divergence, which we did have a decent little pump up here, and we can see it pretty clearly on Market Cipher as well. Let's see, we're getting bullish divergence across here. Big time over here on Market Cipher as well. Okay, we got this nice big bearish divergence, so that's a good one. That's a good point in favor of this TMA Divergence Indicator. Let's see, what else do we got? We're calling bearish right here. Nope, that didn't play out whatsoever. You can tell we do have it prior to that between those highs and those momentum waves, but it's calling it over here, which would have been between those two. And granted, yes, on the RSI down here, it is lower, but it really didn't get us anywhere we want to go. You know, maybe this little consolidation to a little springboard dip. But again, not all of them are going to be a big reversal. Let's see on this guy. We do have, let's shrink this down here. Do have some divergence right there across that. And you know what? Technically, this one did happen here, but I wonder if it was like overshadowed by this large hidden bullish divergence, which in the grand scheme of things seems like it would have been more important. Even just this little bearish divergence, you know, seeing how it ended up playing out. And it was, you know, a pretty good size over here on the momentum wave as well. You know, big difference between up here and down here at the 60. So that's missing out on a big one. Let's see, what else do we got? We're calling bullish right here. It's calling it across to this peak right here, but this one, the price was already higher. But, you know, if you're calling that bullish divergence down here, I mean, I get it kind of played into it, but technically not regular bullish divergence. Now, you know, it's showing between this guy and this guy maybe because the price is going down. I can see that. But, you know, a tiny little one like that, I'd only be looking for this this next move. Oh my God, what button do I keep freaking pressing? I think I'm like missing the escape button and hitting the F1. Whatever the hell that does. Let's see here. Hidden bear, hidden bear, hidden bear, hidden bull, little bull. What do you call him, bull here? Again, you know, I'm not really liking that. Price is going up. That's a cheap shot. Just trying to knee Market Cipher in the nuts. Referee's gonna call that shit. Give me a regular one. All right. Bearish divergence up here on these first two. Which, yeah, I mean, we didn't even really get much on this time frame to look at, but you can see where we came down. We did bump up a little bit, so it'd be like calling it right there. You know, and right there. Which technically is true, but, you know, a little preemptive for sure. If anything, would have made more sense to be like that, you know, get a nice big bearish divergence. But, you know, I wonder if it sees this little hidden bullish divergence, and rather than trying to continue this out on a longer divergence line that it, you know, sticks that one in there and just forgets about the one that was going on previously, which would take some smarter programming to overcome that, I suppose. But, you know, in a case like this, I mean, this is like the #1 situation where you are looking for some divergence because you want to know if and when you're going to make that reversal. So that's prime time money right there. Can't be missing out on that. And as you can see, we definitely got it in Market Cipher. So I'm going to say that once again, I'm gonna have to call this one in favor of Market Cipher, and not even, you know, I tried not to get even too much into the money flow divergences or the VWAP divergences. Tried to keep it strictly to the momentum waves, just to keep it a fair fight, because when you combine all of those, I mean, there really isn't like a specific divergence indicator over here that is gonna compete, because you got too much to work with up here compared to one line and some little flags and, you know, connecting lines. But overall, I gotta say, I mean, this one does look the nicest. It has more utility than just calling out divergences. You know, it's a nice little you know, self-adjusting RSI with, you know, doesn't really have the regression bands, but, you know, has this flowing moving average like median. So I do like that. It does look nice. I would be curious to learn a little bit more about it. You know, is it green while we are, you know, while we're bullish, while we're pumping, and then, you know, starts turning to yellow and then to red. Again, you can kind of see that from the price itself, but if you're using like regular candles, it's almost like seeing a straight line version of Heikinashi, which I can appreciate. I'm looking at crossovers here and how that's working out. Yeah, and you know, came back here, bounced off, stayed bullish throughout that. It's interesting. It definitely warrants a look. So, you know, again, take a look at that guy. It's the TMA RSI Divergence. It's not too shabby, but it's still not going to compete. So at the end of the day, you know, ding, ding, ding. Technical knockout. The winner is Market Cipher. Once again, still the Broad Street Bully of the charts. Cannot be defeated. At least not yet. We'll see. Maybe one of these days we will get a hardcore competitor. Maybe somebody will give it a run for its money. I know when we did the, if you didn't see it before, we did the Market Cipher imitators video. That one we did find some very close. I almost want to say copies. There was one that did have a little bit extra, so I got to give him props on throwing a little bit extra in there, trying to go that extra mile. Whereas, you know, a couple of the other ones seemed like they were basically just copies off of old Market Cipher code that was on TradingView from way back in the day. And so they basically got it for free and just, you know, duplicated, which it very much seems like a couple others have done as well. But who knows? If you know another indicator that you think would be interesting to put to the test, you know, if you got another chicken you want to throw into the ring, watch these guys cockfight real quick. Let me know. I'll be curious to know what it is. I'm also always, you know, I'm always on the lookout for anything useful, anything that's potentially helpful to maybe look at in addition to Market Cipher, although generally speaking, I don't have very much else open. And part of it is just for the sake of not overcomplicating things too much. Because I know for a little while there, I was having like stochastic RSI open underneath MCB down here. And you do get some conflicting action that on times where I was like, well, okay, you know, but the regular standard RSI was saying one thing. And, you know, I said, okay, so I kind of erred on the side of caution and went with the regular RSI. And more times than not, you know, got kicked in the teeth on that one. And should have just stuck with Market Cipher itself. So lesson learned, and as you can tell, that is pretty much always what I have up on the chart. So let's see what's going on with stuff. We got the post-fight party going on. How are you guys doing today? Do anything interesting? Make some money? Have any nice trades? Have any bad trades? Hit me up. Oh, if you're still watching, again, I got to start saying this shit at the beginning of the video, but if you have an interesting story, whether it be your, you know, your personal story as how you got into crypto, got into trading, how it's going, all that good stuff. If you have an interesting one, by all means, hit me up, whether it's in the comments or the email address for the channel is on the About page on YouTube. You know, hit me up. I would really like to start doing some spotlight features on just regular people in the community. And I like talking to people anyways. Obviously I like talking because I can't shut up, but you know, it'd be cool not only to get to like know some people, but just to give like regular traders a chance to talk about their experience trading, because we can all learn from it, regardless of whether it's great, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's atrocious. It really doesn't matter, because there's always a lesson to be learned, you know, in gaining experience from other people. And so if that sounds interesting to you, hit me up. You know, we'll chat back and forth a little bit first, you know, kind of give me a broad strokes a little bit. I don't want, you don't even need to do the whole spiel. And, you know, it'd be cool to just do like a little interview video. I mean, it doesn't even have to be camera, no faces, like it just be strictly audio. And you know, we'll figure out how to get that together, get that going. I think it would be interesting. Plus, you know, everybody's always doing interviews and stuff with the big names, whether it be Michael Saylor or, you know, BitBoy or CryptoFace or people from all these other channels, Altcoin Daily dudes. And, you know, nothing against any of them. Super shout out to them. You know, they're the people that got me into it. I'm sure they got a lot of you guys into it too. But, you know, nobody's really showing love to the community at large. And I feel like that's a niche that could be filled, and some experience that would otherwise be lost that we could all gain from. So, hit me up. But otherwise, you know, look at that. I mean, we're just got some constant juice going as we came back off of this little reversal. We do have some divergence down here as well. See what it plays into, 'cause, you know, didn't really have any divergence here, but, you know, had that pump back. Nope, that's higher, so no divergence there as well with that pump back. But we did finally get this divergence, and just overall generally trending up on the bottom here. Now the big test is going to be, you know, breaking this high right there. I'm kind of waiting to see if we do get, you know, even just a little pullback. I want to go in on it. I mean, if for no other reason than, you know, and you got to watch, because, yeah, you get something like this, which I remember seeing this one earlier today. And I almost did. I almost went in right there, but I forget what it was. I was seeing something, the money flow was coming down, which was, you know, okay, but it was kind of been choppy lately, so I didn't quite rule it out based on that. But on some of these other time frames, oh, I'm looking at polka dot, but on some of these other time frames, I was seeing some stuff that mildly discouraged me. How many times do I have to hit escape? But on the, grand scheme of things here, look at that, just pumping, just taking off. Just pushing right through this fib retracement up here at the 1 level. Potentially up here to the 1.6. Money flow still looking good. And that is, something I've definitely been noticing, that it's really not, it hasn't been worth trying to go in on any kind of big short, because it's just still too much bullish pressure. And you can tell as well, when you get down here on some of these lower time frames, where are we at here? Let's see. Where was I seeing that? Now remember the whole strength indication with the RSIs and everything. So as we were coming down, just immediately getting big splits on the RSIs. So I'm like, okay, definitely still bullish. Splits on the RSIs when we came down, still bullish. Split on the RSIs, it came down. A little bit of split, but not terrible until we got to the end there. So that one was like, okay, that did have some downward strength. And at that point, that's when I'm like, okay, you know what? It's probably a good sign that we may be reversing a little bit here, just going into a downtrend after all that uptrend. And then, we finally hit on a lower low. So I was like, okay, it's a bit of confirmation right there. And then we started coming back together as we came up, even though, it's basically just a pullback within this downtrend. So I'm like, it's still got bullish pressure, despite the fact that, we're finally having a little cool off period here after, nice long uptrend. So I'm like, despite the fact that we are pulling down, it's still got a lot of bullish pressure. Nice vertical pump to the upside there. Pretty strong there. Consolidation kept going. But even at this point, we started getting split right there in the middle, about when we got to that spot. And then came back together as we continued. So still bullish. And then as we kind of got down, started seeing more split to the downside. Not terribly a lot. We had this little S curve right there before the RSIs actually came back together. And we finally got, a decent little dip out of it. And now we're starting to see this, okay, split as it came up. This guy got a little flaky, didn't really have that vertical top that we had here and here. So I'm like, okay, are we maybe running out of bullish pressure, or is it just a byproduct of, the money flow kind of dipping to its lowest point? And again, this is just a 4 minute, so this is very micro view. And what I'm seeing right now is fairly similar, where we're getting split in the RSI as it's coming up out of this as well. But it didn't even start splitting until about halfway. So this was relatively strong, even though there wasn't a ton of volume. I was kind of catching it out of the corner of my eye there. Up over here on the 12 minute, again, splitting, but not super fast, relatively similar to what we were seeing on this guy. Now, money flow is heading up a little bit. We'll see how that continues, because we are going up, and generally speaking, in a macro view, we are still in an overall uptrend. But up here on the 30 minute, money flow starting to get choppy. Finally came down and just barely into the red, came back into the green. So we will see, You know, it could be that, you know, this guy's just a little pullback and maybe we start heading up. You know, no divergence on here as of yet. Still trending down on the momentum waves. RSI still kind of wiggling its way down, but we do have some bullish divergence here on the regular RSI, as well as the VWAP. Matter of fact, yeah, that's where this is from. I was drawing this guy earlier, or at least a similar time frame. That's the one. Yeah, we are seeing, you know, some increasing or higher lows on the VWAP. And for a minute there, we were seeing, you know, a lower high, but kind of broke above that one. So I think that, you know, that still lends toward some bullish strength, particularly, you know, higher up on the time frames, even though we are going into the red a little bit here and there. You know, pop on out to the daily, you know, weakening a little bit where we're getting that lower Heikinashi candle, kind of like we had back here. But money flow, you know, still up. I mean, the slightest little tick to the downside just in this one candle. But RSI, or sorry, VWAP, looks like it finally may be crossing to the downside. So we'll see what happens with that. But RSIs came back together, pointed up. Now, it's still within this one candle. It could be that they cross. And if that were the case, you know, if it does dip down as they cross over, depends if we're still going up or if we pull back down a little bit. If we pull back down and it was just a straight cross, you know, we come down like this and like that, that would mean we're already weak to the downside. But we've been weakening to the upside here a little bit. You know, same with here, same with there, you know, pinching back together on the way down. So even though we've been, you know, what seems like very, very bullish, it's still, you know, still not quite enough. You know, we're not getting, you know, RSIs coming together on these higher time frames showing, you know, mad bullish strength. So just be cautious. So we'll see what this does. If these do stay together and it stays up here, that's a best case scenario right there. So keep an eye out on that one. But again, here on the 2-day, wicked split. Wickedy split. 3-day. It's hard to even say they were together. Really, it's starting to do like a cross. Five-day, they are sort of angling together a little bit. You know, compared to back here, they definitely are closer together. Money flow potentially coming up. Tough to say. It's just a tiny little guy right there, but you know, at least a little bit of upward angle. So we're getting close on the momentum wave to breaking out over here on the high side. Now, the one thing I'm worried about up here on this 5-day and the weekly, you know, we talk about curvature. Look at this. Look at that curvature. So if momentum wave comes up, gets clipped, you know, we could be seeing potentially a big move to the downside. Now, that's a little ways away for sure. I mean, we'd be talking, what do we got here? Probably wouldn't even see downward move until you know, mid to end of May maybe. But this is some definite curvature on this guy. I mean, you cannot ignore it. Very nice looking indeed, but definitely got that paralleled with the money flow. But over here, you know, it's just a tiny dip into the red. Hopefully that's just a tiny dip into the red. You know, looking back, oh, this one's not going to go that far. You know, on these much higher time frames, you tend to get just nice curvature. I kind of blended the two, but you know, while we're here, let's bring up this guy. Our bull market support band. As you can see, potentially even broke above it, but we're still hanging out. Like, this guy's going to curve up a little bit as it fills in, just because, you know, price has been coming up. So this guy's going to curve back up. So we're probably real close to, you know, the upper limit of that bull market support band. What do we got here? On the monthly, yeah, a touch above. Or we were. Over here on the weekly, just a touch above. So keep in mind, if we do go breaking through that bull market support band, that could be a very bullish scenario. Very, very bullish. Like last time we did it was back here. You know, after that first pullback. And that worked out well for a while. Came back, retested. Went up for another one. Before, you know, come back, retesting again. And then breaking through on the second. Go back in time. You can see we pushed through. Very similar to what we're doing right now. Just, you know, different setup. Push through. Came back, retested, came back, pretty much retested again. And every time you find support off that bull market support band, you know, things tend to go fairly well. And the equal but opposite is true down here. You know, when you come through, break, retest, keep going, retest again, continue. Did have a push through here. So that is, matter of fact, this will be the situation that I would like to see, you know, up where we're at right now. And the band is a little bit thicker than it is over here, but not that that specifically means much. But you just get a little bit more room to have to cross the second one. And while we are looking at some macro stuff here. Let's see the what's the rainbow chart doing here? Not much. Why is that so weird? Why does it seem jacked up? I don't know why the hell that's messing with. Oh, this is Ethereum. Duh. So yeah, so that's where Ethereum was at with its bull market support band. Let's see the real one here. Fairly similar, but we are pushed up above it. You know, that could also be the thing. If this pulls back, son of a bitch, pulls back and retests that bull market support band, which would also fall within this heavy support resistance band right there. You know, we could see the band cross around here, potentially a second big support level at the bottom of the band, just so happens to work out that way. You know, we definitely have a lot of chances for support should it pull back to there. You know, as much as everybody loves to be super, super bullish, I mean, that's a big uptrend. You know, not that it can't happen or not that it can't go on, but let's see. What do we got here? 15 days. Now, obviously, we had a substantially bigger one over here. 21 day. 10 day. $19. $18. You know, usually at least broken up a little bit by at least one red candle over here on the Heikinashi. 11. Going back in time here, 15. So, you know, you don't often see too many more than that. 16. Yeah, and even down by the lower end of the bull market support band, we would also be coming up to this spider line right there as well. So definitely a lot of support levels beneath us. Not to mention, you know, the 46K level, 42. Some big psychological levels. But in the grand scheme of things, you know, we're sitting fairly low at the moment, which is nice. You know, a lot of room for growth, a lot of room for improvement. You know, we just broke out of this green regression band right there. There we go. So here's our little fair market price median, fair value price. You know, still got some ways to go. Definitely on the low end. And if you are not familiar with these little indicators that I'm bringing up on here, I did a video called the Bitcoin Rainbow Chart, I think. Let me see here. There we go. Other Bitcoin trading tools and charts. Bitcoin Rainbow Chart. Bookmap alternative and blah, blah, blah. Something else I can't read. So, by all means, you know, if there's anything that you ever see me doing that you're curious about, at this point, odds are I've made a video on it. So go and check it out. But all right, I'm going to call it that. I am going to go do something else. Just don't know what that is yet. Be nice to do a trade, but I don't know. It's just not really shaking out to anything at the moment. You know, if we do put in a higher low, I may go in on that. We'll see, especially if the momentum wave continues with this trend right here. That would be nice. Be nice to see the RSIs be a little bit kinder again, you know, splitting on the way up. Not ideal, but money flow is still pushing upwards. So we'll see. VWAP about to cross down. You know, price about to pull down a little bit. We shall see what's happening. If it's, no, I'm not even going to say that. All right. Everybody have a good day. Tomorrow. I guess if you're on the other side of the world, it's already tomorrow. But stay free, stay happy. Remember, life's too short. Don't get stressed out. Keep learning something new every day. And remember, you are a badass. So be the fucking badass. All right. Later.